Welcome back to Officially Unofficial. I'm your host, the former face of junior college baseball, the Fall American, Johnny Junton. We're here with a very, very special guest. He throws fuzz from the left-handed side. He is the number 8th ranked prospect for the Atlanta Braves, made his debut in 2020. It is my pleasure to welcome the legend, the Electric Factory, Tucker Davidson, to the Official Unofficial podcast. What's up, brother?
What's up? Thanks for having me today.
And honestly, like I told you earlier, we've been trying to get you on for a while. Obviously, I'm a pro Kyle Muller, pro Chris Muller podcast, so we have those connections there. But I got to ask you, can we get you to confirm this? Are you a fan of this show? Have you heard about this show before the interview?
Yes, I have. I've seen both of the Muller interviews. I've seen Forrest Whitley. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm glad to be here.
So we got big league fans here. We're grinding. For those of you that made fun of me in JUCO when I hit 168 and said that I would never be anything, now look at me. Who's laughing now? We got Tucker Davidson, a fan of the show. But I got to bring this up because you're in the number 8 prospect. Kyle Muller's the number 6. Has Kyle Muller ever tried to big dick you on the prospect scale and say, listen, man, I'm number 6, you're number 8?
No, he hasn't. But we are so competitive. Just like we lift together, we throw together, everything. So everything we do is super competitive. We're always trying to one up each other. And I'll give him this, he's a little stronger than I am, but I try to keep up the best I can. And just if you were in like the room of like the gym or like wherever we're doing our things, just you can like feel the intensity and just like feel like how much we like feed off of each other. And like we're brutally honest with each other. Like if he throws a slider that sucks, I'm going to tell him that slider sucked. And I expect that kind of reverse because like we're both trying to like be the best ability to our abilities and try to help each other as much as we can. But yeah.
And dude, and it's actually crazy to look at the Braves prospects and just see 2 lefties that throw 98 plus. Like if whoever's at that alternate site, I pray for them because I couldn't hit a lefty throwing 98 plus. So and you post these videos that you guys do in Driveline. How embarrassing is it to kind of see some of the hitters just whiff on every pitch? Do they say to you like, man, can you not post that on Twitter? I look like a fool there.
No. They haven't ever said anything. And if anybody ever said anything, I'd be like, okay, my fault. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to show anybody up or anything, but like, I'd love to post, like, pitching is my life. I love everything about it. I love being able to show people like, hey, this is all the things I do in the off season. This is how I work. Because as a 12-year-old kid, that would love to see that. And so that's kind of like what I got into doing it for, is kind of, all right, let's put all of everything I do. Let's show all the work that I have to do. And then like the games are supposed to be fun and be like, hey, I worked my butt off all off season, trying to throw hard, trying to improve the slider and everything. And that way in the games, it's just like, let's ball, let's have fun. And here's the results.
And I'll say those videos are electric. And if you ever want to post a video, and I said this to Kyle, if you ever want to post a video to make a hitter look like an absolute fool, fly me out to Texas. I'll take live ABs against you two, and I'll look like a buffoon. And it might break the internet. Like it legitimately might break the internet. But what would you say is when you hit, sorry, not what would you say? When you hit 98, 99 for the first time, do you remember where you were? Do you remember that exact moment? And do you remember like how you felt?
First time I ever hit 98, we were in Jacksonville, Florida, and I made it 1 inning. I was terrible, couldn't find the zone, but it was coming out hot. And there was like 12,000 there that night. So I'm feeling good. And once I kind of figured out, I was like, I don't have a curveball today. I don't have a changeup. I got heat, and that's it. I was like, I'm just gonna try to gas everybody up. So ended up throwing like 32 pitches. They pulled me. They're like, hey, that's all you're gonna do today. Get your next start. And I was like, okay. So that was the first time I hit 98. And I watched that clip for probably a week straight, just replaying it. And then didn't hit 100 until I went up to Driveline in Seattle, was working out with Kyle, started throwing a little harder. And then in my underwear, got all the sensors on me, trying to do the biomechanics. And there's like 20 or so people in the room. And I mean, it's a smaller room. EDM music's blasting. I'm just locked in, and I'm just like something possessed me. It's like throw hard and that's it. And that was the first time I hit 100, and I'm screaming and shouting. Everybody's just like, what did you just do? And I couldn't even tell you what happened in the next like 30 minutes. I was just numb, and it was awesome. I mean, there was no other feeling I could imagine.
So it was like a moment where you kind of just blanked out. And when you hit 100, is that something that you pretty much just kind of bring up as a topic of conversation to everyone? Because I'd be the biggest asshole ever. If I hit 100, I would make sure to at least mention it once every conversation that I had.
No, I try not to bring it up. I mean, no, I don't want to. I mean, yeah, it's something cool, but I got to do it again. I gotta do it in a game. I got to continue to do it. So that's just one of the things I got to continue to work on.
And when you're posting these videos of you like in your underwear with wires all over you, like when you watch these, are you like, man, this is fucking incredible? Because I watched that and I'm like, I wish I had the athleticism to be able to do that. Do you ever kind of look back at these videos and be like, man, I'm throwing like gas and I'm in pretty good shape. I'm looking kind of yoked. And it's just, everyone's winning here in this situation. Do you ever look back? Do you ever watch these videos and you're like, I love this shit?
Yeah, oh, I love it. I feed off of it. I'm called the indoor legend because I throw, like, I'll be in random bullpens with two people around and throw 95, 97, and people are like, "How do you do this?" Because everybody's usually down like 90, 92 indoors, and I'm just like, I have no idea. I've just always had to throw inside because of weather and everything because it's freezing cold in Amarillo, Texas in the off season. So I'm not going outside to try to throw. So I'd always throw indoors, and you have to kind of replicate the intensity, kind of the adrenaline that you would get in a game. And I think I just kind of learned how to simulate and put the mind into the right place to be able to push these things. But I go back to those videos of me throwing 100 for mechanical references throughout the entire year, because I can look and be like, all right, this is when I'm at my physical and peak best. Where am I off on, like, mechanical wise? So I go back to those videos quite often just to make sure we're doing the same things, staying on the same page.
So what would you say to these old heads? For instance, Jeff Fry, who's the biggest clown on Twitter, and I'll say it right now, he's the biggest moron ever. What would you say to these kind of old dudes that are kind of saying that drive line's not for me, drive lines for clowns, like it doesn't like actually work in the game of baseball? What would you say to these dudes and living in the 1960s?
Then what is driveline to them? Why doesn't it work? Is it because we throw weighted balls? Is it because we utilize technology? Is it because we throw in our underwear to get biomechanics so we can read where our deficiencies? I think people get the misconcept of drive on of just, oh, we're out here trying to throw as hard as we can, no strikes, nothing like that. But you look at some of the guys and it's like they weren't throwing hard anymore. They lost some of the velo they had early in their careers. They're going to drive line to try to find, why am I not throwing 94 anymore, and that type of thing. And I think it was just more of a lot of miscommunication of just, it's not just about throwing hard. It's about, let's be repeating these mechanics that everybody has talked about of hinging into your back leg. And so now we just have more terms and we have numbers of being like, you put a ton of force down on your back leg. We want to utilize that to create power to go into our front leg, or whatever the case might be. We need to get your arm up on time because you're putting too much stress on your UCL or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So we can identify things before they become a problem. And you're not just out there, well, my arm hurts. Well, why? Why does your arm hurt? Well, you're not in a good position and your arm's out of place. So that's why your arm hurts. So let's get into a position so we can be on time and throw to our best of our abilities.
Dude, you definitely make a lot of good points. The only thing that I have like a bone to pick, like playing devil's advocate, is when I see these videos of guys taking like 9 crow hops and throwing 100 into a net. Like that's for me, for instance, I'm obviously on your side with the drive line, but playing devil's advocate, what would you like? How does that kind of resonate back to the game of like back to throwing off a mound with these crow hops? Because I don't know if you saw, I broke the internet. I did a parody video of me doing that, throwing 107, and it was a calculator, and it wasn't actually a radar gun, and people got pretty pissed off. But what would you say? How does that relate to, I guess, on the mound, like throwing strikes or throwing fast on the mound?
Okay, so I put it this way. You're going to long toss, you get out to full distance, and you usually come in and you're letting them eat. You're throwing it on a line. It
Yeah.
is the exact same thing. The only difference is you're putting a radar gun and you're in a condensed space. I feel like that's the only difference. But when you break it down mechanically, when you come through with a crow hop, you have to get in the exact same positions you're going to get onto the mound. So it's helping us create momentum, kind of learning, putting the arm into those stressful positions. So whenever you go on the mound, you're able to handle that force, that intensity and everything. So it's getting on the mound, you're like, man, my arm's ready to do this and I can let it fly.
Yeah, no, dude, and and this is how stupid I am. I didn't even think about this. It's literally the exact same as just throwing long toss.
Identical. And
That's
everybody hates on
why
it.
that's why
Like,
you're in
we
the
are
show.
long tossing.
That's why you're in the show, and I'm a moron, because I legitimately, I was thinking about
You're
it.
not a
I'm like,
moron.
wait a second, you do the same shit when you're throwing long toss. So
Right?
take that, Jeffrey Fry. Shove that up your hoop, Jeffrey Fry, who's banned from the show. Do you guys actually, do you think the driveline guys look at that stuff and just kind of just laugh at some of the old heads just saying
Oh yeah.
random
Oh,
shit?
they find it funny. I mean, it's just because they're just write it off without even doing their own research on it, trying to, well, why is this the new age of baseball? Why are these guys throwing weighted balls? And I like to think as weighted balls is like kind of a strength thing for me, as learning to put my body through those stressful things. I'm big on stress and kind of being, because throughout 162 games, your arm's going through a lot of stress. So putting those putting those weights and letting your body learn and gain strength on those little muscles until so it can help protect the ligaments and different things. And that's the way I use driveline, is kind of a warm up, kind of get ready to throw. So that way, whenever, as soon as I get the ball in my hand, it's all right. We are working on backspinning the baseball, trying to get as much ride as we can.
Yeah, and just to go, we'll touch on this, just the last thing. Just to go on, before you went to driveline and after, how much of like a massive difference would you say that it made for you, especially a guy that went to JUCO and didn't, I guess, have as many scouts' eyes as you'd have on you at a D1?
I think it helped a lot. I found it in college. So I think it was Christmas break going in my sophomore year at Midland, and I just stumbled across like weighted balls on Twitter or something like that. And I was like, I'll follow it. So kind of read the book a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I need to do something. I was like, I want to play professional baseball. I don't want to go to college anymore. It's like, this is what I want to do. And I need to throw harder. It was like, that's going to get scouts attention. I'm going to throw harder. So that was when I kind of found it and just kind of ran from it that way. But it's been a blessing. I don't think I would be anywhere where I was, but it simplified everything of just the drills of, okay, I need to focus on my back leg. And that's all that drill is literally just focusing on that. And when I get into catch play, it's now just worrying about catch. It's not worrying about, oh, I need to work on my mechanics. It's just throwing the ball. That's all you have to think about. Just simplifying it to me.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, man, I'm definitely for it. If we can get pitchers in the game throwing like 100 and just making it electric to watch, I'm all for it. Like I think it's a good thing, especially having guys like Trevor Bauer who are vocal about it and stuff like that. I think it's electric.
Very vocal.
But you mentioned JUCO, and I'm a JUCO guy just like yourself. Tell the people the story, because you told it to me before the show. Tell me the story of why you went JUCO and the kind of little bad bounce you had there with Texas Tech.
So originally I committed to Texas Tech as a junior in high school and signed my national letter of intent. And we were during the summer going into my freshman year, was going to head down to Lubbock. I'm only an hour and 30 minutes, so not a far drive from Amarillo to Lubbock. And they called me and they're like, hey, we don't have a roster spot for you. We think you should go JUCO. And so I went to Midland Junior College, and it was two of the greatest years of my life. And it completely changed me as a player, as a person. Just, it went from, I'm good enough to do this, to no, you have to put your head down and grind, because everybody's as good as you, if not better. And you have to prove that you can pitch, you can do these things at a higher level.
So what would you say is your funniest story from your junior college career? Because obviously in Midland, and you're facing these dog schools, you're playing in weird little towns that literally you've never heard of, just like the minor leagues. So what would you say is your funniest minor league story you have, just like a malfunction or a bus or anything like that?
I think we broke down twice in junior college on the bus, but I think the funniest, we're in Clarendon, and this is my freshman year. We were a good team, but we weren't playing good. We weren't throwing the ball well. I think we were up like 10-0, ended up getting beat like 12-10, nothing good. So after the game, we're like picking up all of our stuff, and our head coach, David Coleman, he's probably 5'9", thicker guy, and he scares me to death to this day. He scares me to death. And JUCO players will understand, because they're like, yeah, no, thank you. I'm not getting on coach's bad side. So he just starts screaming. He's like, get to the track. And we're at Clarendon, Texas, in the middle of nowhere, and they had a dirt little track to run on, and we ran for the next hour. And after my game, I went and ran to the hotel, like picked up some like snacks for the team. I was being the good team guy. And then we had to run again. I just remember we were so mad. The next day we went out, won 30-3 and 27-2. And yeah, so that was probably, but we ran so much. He's just cussing up a storm, just like, I can't believe you. You're disrespecting the game. Just I guess we didn't go about our business well, not running out infield singles, everything, just not hard 90s. So he definitely kicked us out of practice a couple times, and he kept us in check for sure.
And that's actually incredible you said that, because there's a story that from me when I was in JUCO. So we were playing, I think we had like a 6 a.m. bus, and a kid missed the bus, and our coach made him drive to the city that we were playing in 4 hours away. The kid shows up, and my coach made him just do polls in the middle of the game for 3 hours. Like, dude, you don't get that shit at D1. Isn't that fucking insane?
Because you can't. No. Oh, we used to have a big black like horse stall mat, and we called it Frank. So if you got caught like skipping class or like doing anything, you'd have to pull Frank, and you literally have to drag it, and you have to backpedal just pulls, and it would be like 6 to 10 pulls depending on how bad you were. And guys would be, hands would be bleeding and just like crying out there and be like, I'm never skipping again. So yeah, you don't see that at D1s. You only see that at junior colleges.
Is it honestly, man? And I'm obviously a heavy advocate for like going JUCO because like you get an opportunity to kind of play right off the bat, right? And even a guy like you that was a massive commitment at a junior, like as a junior in high school, you're not starting at Texas Tech right off the rip, right? And then when you go
No,
to Midland, you're like the number one, number two guy right when you get there, correct?
exactly. Yeah. I actually wasn't the number one my freshman year. I was had a decent fall. And then the first like month of my freshman year was just horrendous. I mean, I had like a 17 ERA. I'm walking guys. And I was supposed to go to like South Padre Island. I was going to have the fun spring break. And our coach brought me into the office. He's like, you're going home. He's like, you're going to go figure out your pitching. He's like, you need to figure something out because this isn't who you are. And so that was my first, like, I really need to lock it in. I need to do things better. And they ended up getting it down to a 6 after a 17. So I had to learn, and then came back my sophomore year, got to be the number one, and had to beat some guys out that were pretty good pitchers. Because I think a lot of people go to JUCO and they're like, "Oh, I'm better than them. I'm going to go to Oregon State, Vandy, blah blah blah." And they get to JUCO and it's like, "Wow, everybody is as good as me. You got so and so's getting looked at by TCU, Oklahoma, Texas, whoever it might be." And it's like I got to punch him out because every guy on the junior college team is scrappy like that. So
Yeah. Dude, it definitely, there's a lot of JUCO schools, like for instance, Midland. I think you throw Midland in like the Big 12 or the Pac 12 or whatever, or even
mhm.
San Jack, I guarantee you they can compete. And that's something that's not looked at. Cause I remember I was coaching and some parents are like, my kid's not going JUCO. My kid's going D2, D1. I'm like, your kid's not like, why would you want to do that? I don't understand how like the misinterpretation that some people have of going JUCO first, where you can get drafted after a year, correct? And compared to
Mhm.
just going D1, D2, where you're literally rotting on the bench until like junior year, sophomore year. So it doesn't make sense to
Right.
me.
And you hope you throw well enough to get drafted versus having 3 years to get drafted. Be like, all right, didn't have a great freshman year, didn't get drafted, had a good sophomore year, got drafted in the later round. I can go to a D1 now. And if you throw well, you can get drafted in the top 5 rounds. And that's kind of how it works. And that was the goal for me. If I didn't get drafted my sophomore year, was to go to North Carolina State and get drafted from there. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to miss out on the college experience. I had the most fun at Midland because you're on the team, everybody's together in the dorms, and on the weekends when you're done playing, you get to go to Lubbock or to Austin or wherever it might be and go have that college experience.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay for like 80 grand a year to pay for the school. So
Right,
it's
right.
crazy. It's crazy. And do you have a moment like where you were in JUCO when you guys were playing against another team and you guys are up by a shit ton? Do you have a moment where you felt like your team was just way superior compared to like another team where it was like you said 30-3 and your coaches kept telling you to keep scoring runs and shit?
I think we were in El Paso. I think we scored maybe 90 runs that weekend of a 4-game series. And I mean, I think we had 7 guys hit over 400 my sophomore year. We absolutely raked. We went 29-0 on like a 29 game winning streak my sophomore year. We were just beating teams to death. And it was just like, this is not fair. We're rolling out 4 starters that are going 6 to 7 innings and just dominating kids. And then our bullpen's just shutting it down. So that was probably the most like fun month I've had in baseball in a while.
And what was it like for you guys to go up against like San Jack and schools like that? Just because it's pretty much like a college World Series game. You have the pitcher from San Jack who got drafted first round throwing gas, and then you have just you like a guy like you that obviously is in the show now. Were those games just like the most competitive games you've ever been a part of?
Yeah, up until you get into the higher levels of minor leagues, yeah, because it's win or go home. We would be playing in regionals, and I remember I was supposed to throw like a Friday night. Game got rained out. We ended up doing it on a Saturday, and it was me versus a kid from Cisco Junior College, and he was throwing 97 to 100 going to Arkansas. And there was 70 scouts in the stands. Every MLB team, half a dozen college teams, literally just sitting there waiting. Is this going to be our guy next year for us? Is this guy going to help us off the bench or whatever? And so that to me stood out. The All-Star game, my sophomore year, there was 60 plus scouts. Every college you can imagine was there because they're trying to find that guy that can help them. We're losing our second baseman to the draft. We need a second baseman for the next 2 years, and we don't have a freshman, or this freshman's not doing what we thought. So they're looking for pieces to be inserted immediately, and you have that experience of playing at the college level. So the game's not going to be as fast as it would be for a freshman.
Where were you committed to after like JUCO?
North Carolina State.
Okay, NC State. Some nice ass
Loved it.
jerseys there. A wagon. What made you want to go there? Like, where were your other offers?
My big ones were TCU, Oklahoma, NC State, and UCF were kind of the four that I kind of narrowed it down to. And NC State, it was beautiful. I wanted to get out of Texas and kind of explore a
Yeah.
different area. And I kind of fell in love with it. The trees, I'm from Amarillo, Texas, and if you Google it, you're going to see just a bunch of dirt. So I was like, oh, trees, this is awesome. And they were losing 12 pitchers that next year. So it was like, hey, this is an opportunity not for you to sit the bench, to go make an impact, to be the Friday night guy, because they were losing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it was like, that was just the spot for me to continue developmental. They were early adapters into the drive line and kind of the analytical. So that stuck out to me of, hey, I don't have to change my routine at all. It was kind of inserted and they could help me grow that routine. So it would have been a great fit for me. And I just didn't feel like the Braves took me, and I felt like it was just the right time for me to pursue that professional dream.
And how heartbroken was NC State when their JUCO dog, like their guy coming in there gonna be their number one guy, gets drafted and he's like, I'm out of here, fellas. Like, well, you obviously gave him a courtesy phone call. Was there a little bit of tears on the other side of the line, or what was going on there?
There wasn't tears. They were definitely trying to flip my thinking. I was a 19th round draft pick, so it wasn't like I was getting millions of dollars, but it was just, I had wanted to dream of playing professional baseball. And it's like, what happens if you go to NC State and you suck? You know, like you have another freshman year where you're not very good, don't get the pitch, you throw 10 innings. And it's like you wasted that opportunity of being able to get into the system and at least give yourself a shot. So, but I remember my first offseason after getting drafted, I was so scared I was going to get released that next spring training because I was a nobody. And that's whenever Driveline got into it, and I was like, I have to throw harder. So that was kind of the first, I've got to do this or I'm going to be out of baseball very quickly.
Yeah, and just pointing back to those dummies that roast Driveline, you got to think about this, man. Nowadays, right, a lefty, you wanted to make a name for yourself, correct? You're a 19th rounder. What a better way to make a name for yourself than be a guy that throws 98 plus. That's a guy that's going to light radar guns up. You make a name for yourself in the minor leagues, then you got to start getting recognition. You start going up in the levels compared to a guy that's throwing low 90s. That there's like 50 of these guys around, and I'm not knocking the throwing low 90s with control, but you got to say. Right. But you're saying like you made a name for yourself throwing hard from the left side, correct? So like some guys, like that's what they have to do to kind of put themselves on the map. So I respect what you do doing Driveline and just focusing on the science of that. And are you a big science guy? Like, do you focus a lot on science for everything?
Not really. I try not to. I try not to overthink things. I like to tend to like sit and like ponder on things. So I try to just make it. That's why I'm big on like simplifying it. Just like, hey, just simplifying everything. And like, I know all the metrics. I can tell you what a 3 o'clock slider does, everything like that. So, and I can help translate it to people, but I like to keep it simplified and kind of, this is where I am best at. This is what my science and math looks like when I'm at my best. Let's just try to repeat that every day.
Dude, it adds up, man. I mean, if you might as well take advantage of it. Like, and I said this to Kyle Muller on Instagram Live. I think if you put me in the 1960s, the 1930s, I would be like a 300 plus hitter. Like I would just be a dog because they're throwing they're throwing like 82 there. And obviously, I respect what they did for the game back then. But if I was in that era, I'd be the next Babe Ruth. And I hit 186 in JUCO. And this is obviously me trolling. I don't know if I probably could, but it's insane, man. And when you look around in that Braves lineup, do you kind of just, or the Braves pitching rotation, and see all these freaks of nature? Do you just kind of say, man, like, what a fucking team this is? This is insane.
We are very good. We are going to be incredible this year. I think a lot of people are trying to like write us off. They're like, oh, not the same bullpen, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you don't understand the depth we have, the amount of young, talented arms. And I think we're going to shock a lot of people. I mean, they continually like to rank us like third in the division. And it's like, we've won 3 straight division titles and we're not slowing down. We still have this core with Acuna and Albies and Freddie and everybody. And it's just like, we continue to get stronger. And now we have Pache. We got Contreras and Langliers right behind him to fill that catching role. And it's just, we're going to be dangerous, I think, for the next few years.
Dude, and I obviously, like, before this episode, we're doing like a selection show, and I'm picking you guys to win the East. Like, it's just the roster you guys have, and not to mention, you guys did that last year without Mike Soroka, the Canadian King. Mm-hmm. My God, the guy, I love him. I'm 0 for 1 lifetime against him with a strikeout. Humble brag, whatever. But
humble brag.
Yeah, no, dude, it's just like, why do people doubt, like, just talk shit? Oh, yes, the Mets got good players. Yes, they got Lindor and all
No,
these guys.
Mets are going to be good. Nationals are low key sleepers.
Yeah.
They're going to be talented, and Philly's got a good lineup.
Dude, it just I'm impressed. I'm excited to see what happens this year, man. It's just like, and you guys are obviously a wagon. You have Ronald Acuna, who's holy shit, this guy's just electric. Did you get an opportunity while you were playing to kind of just, or even like you were there, to just watch what he was doing and just be kind of starstruck or amazed with how unreal this guy is?
Yeah, I got a good story about old Ronnie. Okay, so I think it's 2018. Was it no 2019? So the year he just destroyed the minor leagues, went from high A to triple A, should have been in the big leagues, and he gets sent down for like 2 days before opening day, and he's mad, he's whatever. First at minor league at bat of that spring training, bomb to left field, absolute nuke. Second at bat, bomb to center, absolute nuke. And I'm like, okay. Third at bat, bomb to right center. And I'm literally sitting there and I'm like, this kid, why is this kid here? He needs to be playing. Like, why? And it was just like, that's whenever you sit back and you're like, wow, like this kid's special. And I remember when I first got drafted and I was like, man, this Pache kid's, he's really good. And the clubby, he was like, no, this Cunha kid, and he had a broken hand at the time. He goes, this kid's going to be special. Next year, he goes off and from high A to triple A, and he's the best prospect in baseball. I was like, wow, that kid is special.
Man, just something about Acuna. It just his swagger, everything he does,
Mm-hmm.
man. It's a guy you want to run through a brick wall for. Like this guy.
Absolutely.
And how much comfortability does that give you when you're on the mound and you look at that lineup and you have the MVP, Canadian, we'll call him Canadian because he played for Team Canada, and then you have all these dogs, like you have Acuna, you have Dansby Swanson. Does that give you a little bit of comfortability on the bump and just looking at that lineup saying, if I give up 2 or 3, I'm chilling. I got these dogs in the lineup behind me.
Right. So you don't have to be so perfect. You know they're going to help put up runs, and the games that they don't, well, that's not going to happen very often. We're going to put up 2 to 3 runs at least a game, if not 5 to 7, with how powerful our offense is. So it kind of gives us that, let's relax, let's pitch our game, let's keep us in the ball game, because that's all. At the end of the day, it's all about winning the game at the end of it. So if you can keep us in the ball game for 5-6 innings as a starter and then hand it over to our bullpen and they can keep us locked in, I think we have a good chance of winning a bunch of games.
Dude, yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. I'm excited to see a full season of like Freddie Freeman, healthy, hopefully Soroka, all these kind of guys. Man,
Yep.
what's your relationship like with the Canadian King? What's Soroka like off the field?
He's great. He's very business. As soon as he gets to the field, he's very locked into his work, and he's growing out the flow. And I'm getting used to it, but I'm not used to him with the flow yet. But just, I like to take little things from like his routine and kind of the way he goes about his business, because he works so hard and he's so dedicated to his craft, and like the way he goes about his business in his bullpen, just how locked in. Like his sinker, he didn't throw a good sinker there, you can tell, and he's like, I'm going to make a better pitch this time, and he does, and he makes those adjustments, and that's what makes him so great, is that he makes those micro adjustments whenever you have to on the fly.
And looking at your career, man, I'm just pulling them up right now. Your minor league stats, just legitimately video game numbers, and obviously this is the part of the show where I pump your tires and all that kind of stuff. But you had a 2.86. Like your ERA in the minors is legitimately sub 3. So I just wanted to go into that. I mean, what has been going right for you in the minor leagues to make you be so successful? Are you ripping smelling salts pregame? You listening to like Good Charlotte? Like, what are you doing pregame to be so successful? Because these stats are idiotic. A 203 in AA, and then you had a 284 the year before. It's idiotic, your stats.
Oh man, I mean, I've always been like a high energy guy, kind of pump me up type of thing, and so I kind of take that approach to pitching, kind of being aggressive, with like, I'm going to attack you. So my big game plan is like, I'm going to attack you with my best stuff. I don't care if you hit it, if you put it into play, that's fine. But I'm trying to throw strikes and put everything I got into it. Just kind of, here's my fastball, here's my slider, here's my
Yeah.
curveball, everything like that. So I think that's what I took. I watched The Dirt going in on our first road trip to Tennessee in AA, and I like fell in love with Motley Crue. Like that became my pregame playlist. I'm
Yeah.
listening to Shout at the Devil all day, girls, girls, girls.
Yeah.
I'm just blasting that before. And I think I just had to I just have to be in that mindset of just like, it's me versus you, like pissed off, just everything. And I think that's where I kind of take over, and it's just like I become possessed, and it's just like, let's ball. That's just all I think.
Dude,
let's ball out.
have you thought about making that your walk-up song, like some Motley Crue when you get into the stadium, get the fans going a little bit?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I keep going back and forth because I always said I'd do a Sandstorm if I was ever like a closer,
Yeah.
because I think you could do some cool things with the lights. But it's always like, do I do an EDM song because I like EDM, like doing something like that, or do I do a rap song or whatever? Like, I'm just trying to find like what could get the crowd hyped up and me without like people like, this guy's an absolute psychopath. But I kind of think maybe it might be intimidation of like, okay, this guy really is a psychopath.
Dude, I love that shit. Like, I love, and for instance, like I told this to Kyle, I believe. You want to break the internet, you want to go viral, you somehow get a video of you coming out of the bullpen, ripping smelling salts and running out to the mound. Like, that video, like, I need someone to do that ASAP, because we had last year Jojo Romero on the Phillies.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that. We're back.
Yeah, rip a Red Bull. That's how you grow your name, because I'll never forget that guy's name, because he came in there with a Red Bull. I don't know if he pitched well. I have no idea what he did. I just know that he rips Red Bulls and shotguns them pre-pitch. So it's something. So you're not a smelling salt guy, or are you? What are you?
Okay, so I was in low A coming out of the bullpen. I'd never taken a smelling salt. I had no idea what it was. And they put it in a cup and they were just like, hey, just take a whiff of this and then run out. So I throw my last pitch and they've got the cup and I just take a big old inhale. And I'm like, oh, I can't breathe. So I'm running out to the mound, tears rolling down my face, like coughing. And I was 95, 96 that day, so it worked. But
yeah,
after that, I was like, I'm gonna kind of chill on the smelling salt so hard. But I've seen Kyle bought some 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago in the off season, he's ripping smelling salts and then going to do squats. I'm like, all right, you do you.
He's crazy. I love Kyle, man. Kyle's one of the legends of this show. Like I said, he's one of my good buddies. I texted him the other day, and I don't know if he has, like, if him and the social media for the Braves are in cahoots, like they're buddies, because they always post videos at, like, or pictures at his best angle. Like that video of him coming in the other day.
Right.
He came in the other day. Look, I texted him. I said, like, this might be the best picture I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's walking in, his mask looks good, he's doing the peace sign, his outfit looks incredible. We got to get down to that conspiracy theory. Him and the social media guy, they only post the good shit.
Yeah, they're up to something. They're up to something. Sure.
I don't know, man. Kyle, I'm excited to see what he does, man. Just talking about Kyle, I mean, going into this year, you've been working with him the whole offseason. What have you seen from our guy? Like, pump the people up a little bit about Kyle Muller.
He's going to throw gas. He is going to throw very hard. He's going to be 95 to 100. And he's got I'm going to say it. He's got one of the best fastballs in baseball. I think any hitter that's ever faced him is like, yeah, that's the one thing I don't want to face is Kyle Muller's fastball, because it's 97 and that thing looks like it's going straight up. So he's got it. He's got an incredible curveball, and his changeup's come so far. If we go back to when we were in the Gulf Coast League, just getting drafted, Kyle Muller's changeup to now, it's just night and day. And I think he's just going to be so aggressive, and he's going to make you swing the bat. So good luck. That's all I got to say to hitters.
Good luck, man. Good luck to those hitters, because he posts those videos of his fastball, like, and then his slider is also pretty nasty too. He just has a good mix of pitches, and once he gets that opportunity in the show and they see how he throws to big league guys and how electric his shit is, I think it's going to be impossible to send him down or even just get him out of the bullpen rotation wherever he is, man. I mean, what's kind of your thing? What's one thing you've brought from your game to help Kyle with his?
He's always had a really good fastball. I think curveball, just kind of be able to like base it off of like how it's spinning and kind of be able to work with like, hey, we need to get the hand out there more. We need to change the axis from 4 o'clock where it's a little more slurvy to more of the traditional 5 o'clock for us, where it's having the more 12-6 action to it. So I think kind of be able to work on curveballs with him, because he has a very good curveball and he's come so far with it. And I think just being able to, hey, how is it spinning? How is it doing this? And so we've both kind of learned sliders in the last few years. So I think we've been able to help each other with that.
What's the funniest minor league town you played in? We always get funny stories of people roasting minor league towns here. I'm not going to say the names of the 2 towns that are always getting roasted, but what's one town you visited where you're like, man, I'm never going back there, even if my life depended on it?
Hagerstown.
Where is that?
Oh, hi, Jolene. Hi. This is my roommate's dog.
We got a dog on the mix.
We got a dog on the Hey, I think it's Hagerstown, Maryland. It's the old Nationals low A, and it is just hadn't been renovated since the 1950s. And I'm pitching in there, and it had been raining for like 4 to 5 innings, and they haven't called the game because it's like a getaway day. Nobody's there. They're like, just get the game over with. And I'm pitching, and it's like the 10th inning, and they're like, hey, we're banging it after this innings. They're like, just get through it. So I get 2 outs, runner on second, pop fly to left field, and I'm like, oh, yes, I get out of it. Left fielder falls down twice because it's so wet. Ball drops, blown save. I get the L, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm so mad. We have a 9-hour bus trip back to Rome, Georgia, and I'm just like, I hate baseball.
You have those moments in the minors, dude. Like, obviously, I never
Oh, yeah.
lived it. I went to JUCO, so I definitely understand. But what would you say is like the funniest moment that you had in your minor league career? I was gonna text you earlier to actually like so you can actually think about it. But what's like the funniest fan interaction? Or I'll give you an example. So Braden Bishop last week came on the show. He told a story of a fan in the middle of a game climbed the light pole with a gun in his hand, and the game got like paused in the middle of the game. So, what like, do you have any stories like that where it's not to that extent, obviously, because that's just insane? But do you have any crazy stories like that?
Not like that. Not like that. I mean, we've had like snakes, like raccoons, rabbits, different things like run across the field. Ah,
Or a
I'm
fan,
trying.
like a
Okay,
fan
it's a
interaction?
fan interaction. Let's see. I mean, I wanted always somebody to like go streaking or running across the field, but that never happened. So I've been waiting on that. So if you ever want to do that, make sure I'm there.
I'll take the fine. I'll take the fine.
Yeah, like the guy from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think, okay, I'll put it this way: my favorite Kyle Muller story. I'll go to that because this is too good of a story. So we're in Birmingham in Double A, and he's pitching. He's shoving. He gets like a little chopper back to him, and he throws it away, and he just without thinking grabs his glove and spikes it.
I saw that.
Bounces up perfectly to him, and then he goes and covers third. And I'm sitting in the stands, and I'm literally like dumbfounded, just like, did he just do that? Just I was so confused, actually.
When dude, because that video actually, I think he tweeted it, and I know exactly what video you're talking of. I can't wait to post that exact clip of you saying that, just to hear like a guy in his team's reaction. What did your manager say when this big lefty just hucks a glove on the ground and after an error?
I don't know what the manager said, but I know our pitching coordinator was there, and he was like, Kyle, what do we got? What are we doing? Come on.
Dude, and that just goes to show you like how competitive you two are. Like the fact that a human being, like usually you see pitchers that are composed, right? Like they'll do that and then they'll just whatever. This guy threw his glove, and the thing that's not talked about enough in that video is how it bounced up and he caught it perfectly.
Perfectly. I don't think people understand how much force he threw with that glove.
It was like not. The glove had to be like 95 on the ground, like that glove.
Oh,
and,
100%.
And when you you can't show that video to like coaches or old school coaches where they're like, guys, respect your gloves. They're
Right.
punching the air when that shit happened, man.
They're so mad.
What would you say is like the biggest bomb you've given up so far in your minor league career, like a nuke against, let's just say, some sort of big prospect, like a Wander Franco type of guy?
I think his name's Luis Diaz. He's with Miami. He used to be with the Twins, and we're in high A, and it's we're playing Fort Myers Miracle. And I'm not pitching well at this time, and I throw a 2-0 fastball right down the middle, and he hit it out of the stadium. Yeah,
Out of the stadium?
I don't think it's landed. Out of the stadium. Yeah.
What do you do in that situation? Like, and I always ask this to pitchers, like, are you the type of guy that's like to the catcher, give me this ball, or are you watching that shit?
Depends. That one I watched, I was like, whoa,
dude,
broke my neck a little bit. But most of the time I usually just yell a cuss word, and then it's like, give me the ball, and I try to like forget about it, move on to the next pitch.
I don't know, man. Like for me, for instance, I think the most electric thing is when you give up a nuke, just immediately asking the catcher back for the ball, like nothing happened.
Like ball me. Yeah, just like, here. Umpire just throws it to you. Yeah.
Dude, because when you're the guy running around the base, you don't even get the joy and the excitement of like just embarrassing the pitcher because the pitcher already has the next ball in his hand, like nothing happened. I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. But do you have any stories from like close to like borderline fights in your minor league career?
Yeah, we cleared benches a couple times. Not since I've been in the upper levels, but more at the lower levels. We're in low A, and their catcher had been like running his mouth, and our catcher kind of been running his mouth a little bit back to him. And there was a close play at the plate, and he kind of took him out, and he was out, and he stood up, and our catcher re-tagged him and said, "You're out." and
Oh no.
benches cleared, and I thought I got over the rail pretty quick. We had two Latin players that were there within half a second and were in like ready to fight. And I thought I was getting over the rail pretty quick, but you don't know what to expect because you're like, are we about to like throw down? Like, what is going on? But they're fun. They're fun.
I love, honestly, I think bench clearing brawls need to just be a regulated thing because you want to grow the game of baseball, Uncle Rob Manfred, that's how you grow it. Just brawls on the field. Like, and honestly, I have a rule, and I brought this up like in the old days, where there should be every player should get one fight a year between they could fight either a fan or an umpire, and they get to go to center field, and that's it. You get one a year. If you bang it out at the start of the year, you're done. But but the thing is, why I don't think that rule would be good is because Angel Hernandez would get his shit rocked every single day. Did you see that call yesterday? Did you watch that?
No, I heard about it because I saw a ton of things on Twitter about it, and it was like, so I don't know who posted it, but it was just like the iPhone missed call, and it was just Angel Hernandez, and I died. But so I threw to him like 2 spring trainings ago, and he'll call ball or strike before it even crosses the plate.
What?
Yeah, it blew my mind. I literally was like, "Here, strike!" before the ball, like the catcher caught it. I'm like, "What?"
That you honestly, and people can roast Angel Hernandez. You got to tip your cap to that shit. How do you even do that?
Right? Honestly, everybody was so like mad at him. I think whenever he just gets a lot of fire because in 2019 he had the most like correct strike calls of any umpire in baseball that year. And I
Really?
think whenever he misses it, I think they're just like blatantly obvious. Like, dude, that was right down the middle.
Yeah, because that one yesterday, and obviously we're like this is the interview on Monday, it's dropping Thursday, but that one yesterday, I was watching it, I was legitimately mind blown. Like Jack
So it was
Flaherty,
Flaherty. Yeah, it was
yeah,
Flaherty pitching.
Flaherty threw this, and legitimately the catcher's glove was set up in the middle, did not move his glove an inch, and Josh Bell was hitting, and Josh Bell was like, "Holy shit!" Like I can't believe this just happened to me, but it's crazy, man. And let's go into the spring training this year. I mean, obviously you guys aren't allowed to kind of there's not many fans there. There's like limited, all that kind of stuff. There's restrictions, all that kind of stuff. How weird has this spring training been compared to like last year's, the year before, all that stuff?
Last year, kind of the spring training 2.0, and then last season kind of got like an introduction to this year. So it hasn't been too weird. The fact that there are some fans is making it a lot better. Like yesterday in Port Charlotte, there was like 2,000 there, but it felt full because everybody's spaced out 6 feet. So everybody's in all the sections and on the grass area. So like it feels like people are there, and it feels like you're actually in a normal environment. So that made it seem a lot more normal. I think the hardest thing for everybody is just not being able to do anything when you get done. Like you can go to the beach, you can do everything like outdoors, but you can't go to bars, you can't go to like restaurants, you can't do certain things. So I think it's just like, what do we do during the day, and just like how do we like spend our time? So a lot of guys are playing a lot of Call of Duty. So
That's what I've been doing. I've been running COD actually an uncomfortable amount. Like I've just been obviously I'm just treating my body like I'm in spring training. Like I work out in the morning. I'm obviously in school, but I work out in the morning, and then the night I have a couple beers and play COD. Like I'm a minor leaguer too. Like that's what I'm doing now. I'm a
minor
guy in
leaguer
the
at heart.
minors. And dude, and yesterday you pitched, and I texted you. I was like, got a nice little punch yesterday, and you got to face maybe one of the biggest prospects in baseball since Bryce Harper, like we talked about earlier. What was it like going up and seeing Wander Franco in person, live, facing him? What was your kind of perspective on how he approaches the at bat, anything like that?
He takes hacks. He's very comfortable in the box, and he's got good zone recognition. And I knew that because that's kind of been his thing. Of he just has that good approach, and he
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. So I knew he was going to want to hunt first pitch fastball. So I threw him a first pitch slider. He took it, didn't really like it that much. And then it was just more of how would he handle the high heat, and just kind of where was his mistakes. Like on the slider, was he pulling out or was he staying on it? Was he fouling it off? And he fouled a slider straight back. And I was like, great. I'm going to try to slow him down with a curveball. Kind of threw a casted one, but it slowed him down enough where he kind of lunged. And I knew if I went slider back in, he would have a tough time trying to get that barrel extended to it. So that was kind of the approach I had to it. Was just what can he do? What can he handle? That type of thing. Because he can run, he has the power, and he can hit. So it's more of just let's see what he's going to give you that day and go from there.
How many chains does he wear too? Because I've watched, I've seen Acuna. Acuna obviously looks electric on the field. Like I said, he has swagger. Is Wander Franco a chain guy? Is he wearing a lot of chains?
I want to say he had two. I
Okay.
want to say he's got a little flash to him. Like he looks good in uni. He knows what he's doing, And you said he was pulling up in like Lamborghinis or something. So he's got it
Yeah,
figured
dude,
out, I
and
think.
I don't know, and maybe you could actually help me out on this. So I was told that in the Dominican Republic, there's kind of this thing where agents and scouts come up to you and they say, "I'll give you a certain amount of money up front if I get a certain percentage off of your signing bonus." Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So they take them, they pull them into the academies, and pretty much from like they're 12 to 15, it's just baseball every day. So they stop going to school at 12 years old. Unlike here, we go through 18, and then we can go do whatever. But they will stop, pull them out of school. They go to these academies. They start teaching them, try to teach them some English, kind of, hey, this is like pitching, kind of, hey, you're going to be a shortstop, that type of thing. And then
Okay.
so pretty much those guys become their agents, and then they come over to the States and they've got their foot in the door where they
Because
kind of have an idea what's going on.
yeah, because what I was talking about was like, so apparently, so there's these guys like they give you a certain amount of money up front. Like let's just say Wander Franco got
Big League Advance. So Tatis did it. Yeah.
yes, big
Okay,
league
so Big
advance.
League
Okay,
Advance.
Wander Franco has that. Just so you know, just so everyone knows, Wander Franco has that, which is why he has a Lamborghini right now. So yeah, what you can
Gotcha.
describe
Okay.
it.
Okay. So you technically you get a Big League Advance. So they're saying like we're going to give you eight. I think Tatis was like $800,000, and you have to give back like 10% of like your contract, like your next big contract. So for 800,000, Tatis is losing like a couple $1,000,000 after just getting $800,000. So pretty much you get money and then you just have to pay back whatever percentage you decide. It's kind of like an agent fee, but you're just getting cash.
Yeah, so that's why Wander Franco, I believe he has a Lambo and some other sort of supercar. So you want to talk about a guy that's going to grow the game of baseball? That guy is a dog, and I've watched highlights on this guy. Holy shit, can this guy swing the bat? And when you're going up like a guy like you, for instance, like power versus power like that, are in your mind, are you saying I want to come at this guy with straight fastballs and show that I got the bigger, like I'm the biggest here, like I'm the big dog here?
I think at times you can do that, but if they're, I mean, like Drew Waters for an instance, I faced him a million times last year, and he's a big time prospect, and everybody knows he is hunting fastball first pitch. If you throw him a fastball and it's a strike, he's going to swing at it, and he's probably going to get a hit. It's just based off the numbers, and that's the way he works. So a lot of guys start throwing him first pitch sliders just because they don't want him to swing. And if he does swing, he's probably going to make the mistake thinking it's a fastball or whatever it might be. So I think it kind of depends. I didn't want to give him a first pitch fastball and he just whack it,
Yeah.
because he was just sitting it. And so that was kind of like, all right, let's throw a slider where it looks like a fastball and then it's not. So at times, yeah, it's like, here it is, like, here's your fastball. And there's times that in bats when it's like 2-0, 2-1, when everybody in the stands know a fastball's coming, he knows it, I know it. And it's, here it is. This is my best bullet. Let's see what you got.
And the next thing I want to talk about, and last year, obviously, like I said in the debut, you made your debut September 26th, 2020. I wanted to go into where you were when you got that call, who'd you called first, and what was kind of running through your head? Were you just blasting, like I said, Blink 182, Good Charlotte, getting your juices flowing because you were fired up?
Kinda. I was so nervous. So that Sunday, so I pitched on a Saturday. I made my debut on a Saturday. That Sunday, I made my last outing of the alternate site. And we were supposed to go home after that, and I got told I wasn't going to the playoff bubble. So there was like, season's done. Like, made a lot of progression this summer. Blah blah blah. 2 days later, Cole Hamels gets hurt. So they're like, "Hey, you're going to the playoff bubble." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And the next day they call me and like, "Hey, you're actually going to make your debut on Saturday." So like on the course of like a few days, like everything, like plans had changed and everything. So that was like an adjustment. We go into on like that next day on Thursday, I think we go to start the bubble, start the quarantine for
Yeah.
playoffs. And we were just stuck in a hotel room for like the next 3 days, and like no family could come, nothing, because you had to be in the bubble to like even be at the games or anything like that. So I was just trying to like calm down. I didn't eat for like 3 days. I was so nervous. I mean, Freddie came up to me before I was like walking up the steps of the dugout to like go out, and he like hit me on the chest. And he's like, "You only get one debut, have a blast." And I don't even think I felt him whenever he like hit my chest. It just would like, no, I'm like, you could have punched me in the face and I wouldn't have felt it.
Dude, and could you imagine a legend like Freddie Freeman? It goes to like show how good of a dude he is. Just
Mhm.
coming up to a rookie, probably doesn't even know you that well, and just
Right.
pumps you up and just says, "Listen, man, you got one debut, kid. Like, just make it worth it." So, what did you get an opportunity? And I always say this to people. I love reiterating this, but did you get an opportunity to kind of step off that mound, look around the infield, see all these guys, and be like, "Dude, I'm in the show right now. Like, this is crazy."
I don't think I really took that moment, and I'm mad that I didn't. I think I didn't really kind of get to soak it all in. I think I was so involved of like, I got to do this. I got to be perfect. I got to do everything instead of just kind of taking that moment of sitting back and being like, wow, like I did it. I worked all summer to do this. And now like I get the opportunity. And I think that's something I would change if I had to do it again. So I think I'm much more grateful and much more happy of where I'm at. And I think mentally I'm in a better like place of ready to attack this year, being in the big leagues, kind of taking it all in type of thing.
Yeah, and going into, I guess, this off season, because obviously now you have service time. Your service time technically started because you made that start. So just kind of having that sense of comfortability, knowing that like there's no such thing as wasting my wasting my service time or anything like that. So going into this year and knowing that, dude, you have a really good shot of being on that big league roster full time. What have you kind of did in the what did you do in the off season? Like, are you working more on your off speed stuff or command? What's going on?
A big thing for me was just repeating the off speed. I just didn't consistently throw it for strikes. I didn't throw it in the zone when I needed to and out of the zone when I needed to. So that was a big focus of just how do we hone in on the curveball, and that was a big thing. It was I threw a big loopy curveball like 73 miles an hour. Yesterday it was at 80, so that was tightening up the spin, kind of getting it to a shorter break, so so it has time to I can throw it hard and it just dives and not be big and loopy, and I have to work about like controlling it and flicking it in there, and I can just attack. So that was a big focus, and then just honing in on the slider, finding that two different of here's a strike and then here's that back foot slider.
Dude, yeah. No, it's the off speed stuff, especially from the left-handed side. What's the most like during your minor league career so far? Everyone has those games where it's like, this is the best stuff I've ever had. What was your game in your minor league career? Because obviously you were successful majority of the time, but did you have one game where you're like, this shit is like, I feel like Cy Young on the mound right now. Like no one could hit
Yeah.
this shit.
Yeah, we were playing Pensacola. It was like late July in Double A. I can remember the outing. I went like 8 innings, punched 10, didn't walk anybody. That was like the first time I didn't walk anybody all year. So that was like a huge moment for the day. And I was like
Yeah.
94, 98 that day. And it was just one of those, it was like, you need everybody in God's power to help you today because I'm just on it. And I think I gave up like 3 hits and I just was electric.
Dude, and those appearances are the ones that like make you just want to go back out there the day after. Like when you're just absolutely carving like that and it's just
Mhm.
like nothing can hit me. When you got taken out of that game, were you like borderline like gonna scrap the coach? Were you like, I want to go 9, I want to go CG?
I wanted to go CG, but I was cramping. Both of my calves were completely cramped because it was so hot and I was so dehydrated by the 8th inning. And they were like, "Yeah, like you're done." Like, but I like mentally and like arm wise could totally have finished that game, but my legs were just like, I can't do this anymore.
What do
So that was
what do pitchers think about it? Like in between innings. Like this is just me being a dumb brain. Like this is my dumb brain question of the day. What do you guys like? What are you guys thinking about in between innings? Like when you're going well like that, when you're going bad, are you just like singing songs, like just thinking random shit? Like what's going on? I need to know. The common man needs to know this shit.
all right. So off of that, I just posted a TikTok about an hour ago of like thoughts in my head when I'm pitching, and it's pretty funny.
I'll plug
So
it.
check that
We'll
out.
post it. We'll
Yeah.
post it on the account.
Awesome. So I think really just like when it's going good, it's like anything but baseball. You might have like a little chat with the catcher, be like, "Hey, let's throw more changeups this inning." Great, perfect. But I think you're just trying to like stay like loose and everything, not try to like overthink because like guys will be shoving and they're like thinking about they're like, I got to do this, this, and this. It's like no, like you're having a game, enjoy like our hitters, like you're dominating, go continue to have fun and do that. But whenever it's like you're not throwing well, you're in there and you're just like, I just need a blow. Like you had a long inning, you're like, can we just hit a little bit so I can like catch my breath? And at times you just got to take like your mind off of the game because you can be so locked in. It's like I just need that second to like take that break.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like for instance, like if I was a pitcher, I would be the type of guy that would if it's silent in the dugout, I would hate it. Like, are you that kind of guy where are you conversing with like your teammate stuff, or are you that pitcher where it's like, do not talk to him when he's starting? Are you like which
No,
one
I'll
are you?
get no, I'm so like antsy, I'll go pace around the dugout when in between innings and I'll go talk to random people. I'll go talk to Drew Waters about his last at bat for no reason, just because I'm trying to like keep my mind just off of like thinking, oh, I got to stay back. I need to throw more fastballs. I need to throw a slider better, that type of thing. So I just kind of get my brain like that mental reset. But I
Yeah.
am constantly moving.
So you have ADHD. You're like an ADHD
One
guy.
oh yes, 100%, 100%.
And yeah, let's talk about Drew Waters for a second. I mean, such a hype prospect right now for the Atlanta Braves. Everyone's talking about how good he is. What's your kind of perspective on Drew? Because I think he's a freak. And you guys, like I
He
said,
is
you
a
guys are
freak.
so stacked. And it's just like it's some of these guys like Drew Waters in another system, he'd be in the show right now. Right? It's just like you guys have
Yeah.
so many dudes.
Yeah, he'd probably be in the show right now, and he'd be playing center field for any other organization. But we got Pache, and that's gonna be a fun outfit when it's Waters, Pache, and Acuna. It's gonna be so much
Oh
fun for
my
the next
god.
coming. Oh yeah, but he rakes. He can crush a fastball. He's grown so much. It was like physical and like because he's always been a taller, skinny kid, but he's grown into his body. He's getting stronger. The power's getting there, but he's a true 5 tool player. He's got an absolute cannon from the outfield. He's got just as good as an arm as Acuna and Pache. He can fly. He's starting to steal some more bags. He's gonna be a fun, exciting player. I
Dude.
think. Oh, Jolene.
Braves fans have a lot to look up to, and obviously, or a lot to look forward to. Just like me, bro. Like with the Jays, there's like just so many prospects that are coming up in that system, and the Braves, man, holy shit! Christian Pache's not even there. You guys have won 3 division titles in 3 years, man. Like it's crazy. And you talked about the playoff bubble. You mentioned that kind of stuff. What was it like just being there and just seeing that playoff atmosphere for the first time in person for your team?
It's intense and just like every pitch matters. Everybody is so locked in. I mean, you go from changing signs like once a game to you're changing signs with a runner on second every inning. It is something different. You've got video guys looking at you, making sure you're not tipping. You're making sure everybody's got very nervous and everything about it. So I think it's just getting comfortable in that atmosphere with like the intensity turned up and adrenaline going like you've never had before. So it was good to like see it, and it was fun to. I really wish we would have won that series against the Dodgers, but just being able to see it, like us being so close to the World Series, and then like us not being there and watching the Dodgers celebrate that left like a bad taste in my mouth. So it was just more of we want to get back to that position, and I want to play in it next year and be pitching in those games.
Where do you kind of see yourself going into this year? Like, are you gonna be put into like a starting role? How they talk to you, like a starting role, bullpen guy? Like, what have they told you?
We haven't really officially established like if I'm going to be a starter, if I'm going to be a bullpen guy this year, just based off of we kind of have our rotation set for this year, but it's a long year, so who knows? But right now, I think I'm gonna kind of do both. I think at the point until they kind of figure out where everybody is, if anybody kind of where Soroka is, kind of where's he at? Is he throwing live yet? Where's like his throwing kind of because he might be ready for opening day. We don't know yet, and or he might be delayed a couple weeks just to be on the safe side. So there might be an open spot for that fifth spot for a couple weeks, or it might be, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity to go win the long job out of the bullpen.
Dude, yeah. Like Soroka to me is a very impressive starter, like a very impressive pitcher, and I think he's not even talked about that like enough in Major League Baseball. Just how good his shit is. Like you always hear the stuff about Bauer and Syndergaard and DeGrom, obviously warranted. These guys are really good, but it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe you could back me up on this. I don't. Like, Soroka's not talked about as much as these guys, which does it pisses me off to be honest, being a Canadian, but like do you think would you put Soroka kind of up there with those DeGrom types and all those types?
He's an all-star. He is becoming his elite self, and I think he's so young. He's 22, 23 years old, and I think he's got so much room to grow as a pitcher. I mean, we've seen like bits and pieces of him, and when he's so dominant. That sinker's so good, as everybody knows, and that changeup and the slider and everything's there, and it's just consistently year after year continue to do that to be able to put himself in that category of like DeGrom goes out there and it's 180 innings each year, and he's going to do 250 strikeouts and 40 walks, and that's what you're going to get every
Insane.
year.
Insane.
And
Insane.
insane video game number, yeah.
I
I don't
can't
want to hit
believe.
against him.
And
I'm not looking forward to that.
that division is so
Best division in baseball at me. I don't
for
care.
sure. I think it is too. But we'll say the East divisions in both leagues, the AL East, and we'll say
Yeah,
that we'll say
AL
those
East
two
is
are stacked. But dude, this is this is another thing, obviously. And you grew up like you were a pitcher, all that stuff. How excited are you to be able to hit in the big leagues? I know Kyle's just probably stroking himself to it. He's probably so excited to be able to hit again. That guy loves hitting. But what about you, man? Are you looking forward to it?
It depends on who's pitching that day.
Yeah, true.
If it's DeGrom, no, I'm not looking forward to hitting that day because you watch what he does to Freddie Freeman. He just obliterates him with 94 mile an hour sliders in the 100. So it's
Yeah.
like Freddie can't hit it. I'm probably not going to hit it. But I mean, it's fun. I'm not looking forward to bunting, I guess. I'd rather just be up there and be like, hey, get a hit versus like bunting and I got to bunt 97. Like I got to get down in there, pray I don't pull a pitcher move and foul it off into my face. So I think that's the part I'm
True.
not looking forward to. And I think a lot of people just would rather watch Marcell Ozuna be the DH and just watch him hit bombs. You know, I think that's where
True.
the game's kind of going. And pitchers are like, why do I need to go out there to be 3 pitches? Just get out. You know, I think a lot of guys be like, I'd rather be in the bullpen doing whatever. So I did get to hit a little bit in double. I got 2 hits, so I can hit a little bit, but I just think I need to see like the higher velo more often because we'll go 2 weeks without seeing pitching. And then it's like, hey, you're facing 97, 98 today. And you're like, oh, I got no chance. So I think if you saw it constantly, you would be a little better, more comfortable and be like, oh, I can get in there, bunt this, I can hit this. So it's just more a comfort level.
Would you kind of classify yourself as like a Wander Franco type of hitter where you're swinging out of your ass every pitch? Or what are you when you're in the plate at the plate?
I'm like, yeah, I try to be, but a lot of times it's just like, oh, I didn't pull the trigger and it's already in the mid. So like, I'll just, I think I'm facing Drew Rasmus from the Brewers, and he's 97 to 100 that day. And I just, first one was like, all right, first pitch heater, I'm selling out. And I just remember I put my foot down and it was past me. I was like, yep, not hitting that. And then next one, I think I like got barely a piece of it. And then he went slider, and I was like, I have no chance on an 88-mile-an-hour slider. But I got a hit on. I like the spin rate guys. Like throw me your best heater that's going to try to throw up in the zone. You throw it right down the middle, and it's right in my back path.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to go for. Sinkers, I have no shot. I'm going to look terrible, and I'm just going to put it out that way.
And what, like, when you found out that you guys are actually hitting this year, what was your kind of emotions? Because obviously for us as the fans and all that stuff, we want to see, like you said, Ozuna. Like, we want to see a full lineup of guys that are actually able to, like, put up good stats against pitchers compared to just pitchers who are in there, like, pretty much. You saw the video of, like, the Padres just practicing bunting. Like, what was your kind of thought process when you just heard, like, pitchers are hitting this year, man? Like, I was pissed, I'll be honest. I was kind of mad about it.
I mean, I think it's going to change in the next year. And I think we got a taste of it last year, just how great it can be and just how much more exciting games are, because people want to see strikeouts and people want to see home runs and action. They don't want to be sitting there in a pitcher stool. That's just the way the game is gone. And I'd rather watch the 2-1 game and watch Scherzer versus Garrett Cole, you know, and just dominating guys, just dominating stuff. But it's not the everyday fan. They want to see the long home runs from Gary Sanchez and Stan. They want to see all the flashy stuff. So I wasn't mad about it, but I think the game, to grow it more, I think the DH is something big. And it was just more of, I have to now lock it in of hitting during my games too. And it's not just, I don't just have to worry about pitching. But I think it'll be fun. It'll be an experience I get to tell my kids one day.
What's the expectation like for the managers for when the pitchers are hitting? Because I don't know, you obviously didn't really get the experience of the big league level, but if you're not swinging 0-2 and you're like taking like a fastball down the middle, is the manager saying, "Yo, what are you doing there?"
No, they're not mad. They're not mad because you're supposed to get out. That's,
yeah.
I mean, guys, most starting pitchers get 1 to 2 hits a year, and it's the little bleeder over the shortstop or chopper that they beat out, you know, like something like that. So their big thing is like, if you're supposed to bunt, get the bunt down. Get the bunt down. That's your job, to get up there. Your job is to bunt. We're not paying you to hit. We're paying you to get the bunt down and the pitch. So if you don't get the bunt down, yeah, he's going to be pretty mad.
Okay.
But if you're up there with nobody out for like leading off the inning, and you watch 3 fastballs down the middle, he is not going to be mad. And because you're supposed to get out, don't hurt yourself, and go about your business, keep pitching.
And be honest, like, has a pitcher ever got a hit off you?
Yeah.
Really?
It's terrible feeling. Terrible feeling. Terrible feeling. I couldn't imagine, like, let's just say, just like some scrawny little like tall pitcher that throws gas and steps in the box, and you're giving it your all, like you're trying to pump like 99, and he just flicks like an Oppo Taco single. Like, could you imagine? Yep.
What pitcher got a hit off you? Do you remember the exact pitchers, or like just the moment and what you felt?
I want to say it was Bowden from Biloxi in 19. I don't know his first name. Yeah, I think it was him. I think I gave up 2. I gave up the hit to somebody in Chattanooga. It was a little dribbler that the third baseman was playing back and couldn't barehand, and I was like, man, I should have made that play.
You just, oh man, pitchers hitting is just like, and when I think of pitchers hitting, I just think of my dumb brain kind of alludes to just pitchers on the base pass with their massive ass dugout jacket, just looking like
Yes,
clowns.
like on the show. Yes.
Yeah. Are you gonna be that guy? Are you gonna be a dugout jacket guy on the base pass?
No, I don't even wear an undershirt.
Okay.
It's
Oh
just
wow, you go
jersey or
tarps
nothing.
off.
Yeah.
Do you go buttons down? Like how many buttons down do you think?
Just one.
Okay, so and let's do this. So obviously, like I said, I like watching the Braves game. I'm a big Braves guy. I'm a big Tucker Davidson guy now. So when you're on the bump and you're just make your buttons match how confident you are. So if you're button 3 buttons down, it's like, holy shit, I'm confident as shit today, Johnny. Like that's going to be our universal signal to each other with how confident you are. So if you got 3 buttons down, I'm like, all right, Tucker's going to go out there and shove today. If it's 1 button, it's like, all right, I feel good, but not too good. Like that should be our thing now. Just me and you.
All right, we'll go 3 buttons down. Don't just expect just straight gas. I'm not going to have any idea where it's going.
Yes.
2, we're just going to be like the finesse lefty, just throwing a bunch of breaking balls.
Okay.
And then 1, it'll be like, all right, Tucker's locked in. With none, it's like, all right, pray for the day.
If you, like just you're going nerd style, like no buttons, just straight, like you just pray for me. But dude, and
pray for the day.
Pray for the day. Who's one guy that you kind of looked up to growing up, like a pitcher that you watch and you're like, I kind of mimic the way this guy throws and all that?
I always liked Kershaw. He was kind of like the guy kind of when I was like getting into pitching, like once I became like kid pitch and everything. So he was somebody I watched. I really liked Randy Johnson, the big unit. I mean, who didn't? He threw gas and then a wipeout slider. Yeah. I loved the way Pedro goes about his business, kind of the way he took matter into like his own hands. And my favorite video clip, besides the Barry Bonds and Eric Gagne battle, is just the highlights of Pedro 1999 All-Star game. Punches out 5 in 2 innings. He's absolutely dominant, and that video can just hype me up to do anything. I can watch that video and just go throw a bullpen, or I can go lift weights, or go on a long car ride after that.
Adrian Martinez, man, you want to talk about a pitcher that just absolutely put hitters in his back pocket? Like that guy, holy shit. Pedro Martinez for me, and obviously I'm a little bit biased. I'm not biased. I'm like, I just think he's one of the best ever. I think Pedro Martinez,
100%.
Yeah, you might put him up there with like one of the best pitchers to ever do it. But I mean, for sure, the big unit also. Do you kind of compare yourself to him just based off the fact that you're from the left side and you both throw just an uncomfortable amount of gas?
Nah, not really. We're 2 kind of totally complete different pitchers. He really only had 2 pitches. He only had that fastball and the slider, and that was at an era that he could just beat 2 people because they were just so dominant. It's kind of like Chris Sale. He has a changeup, doesn't use it as a whole ton because his fastball and slider are so good. And I think a little bit just as the fact of how the way he went about it, and just like here's the slider, that type of thing. But I think we're 2 different pitchers. He's a little lower than I am. I'm more of like the Kershaw kind of, hey, we're going to throw fastballs, we're going to throw a big curveball, and then a little slider. That's kind of the game I like grew up watching. Like, because I always had the big curveball, and that's kind of what he's known for, is the Hall of Fame curveball. So I just kind of watched him of how he uses it to strike guys out, how to throw it for a strike, how he uses his fastball at the bottom and the top of the zone, and then that slider that looks just like his fastball and then just darts to the right.
True. And this is completely off topic, but I got to bring this up. Do you think Kyle Muller tailors his pants, his baseball pants? Like, think they're a little bit tighter than the other pants? Because he gets like, he's that guy on Twitter where you see a shit ton of girls say Kyle Muller looks incredible in baseball pants. So I just wanted to bring it up to you as a guy, as a teammate of his. Do you think his pants are a little bit like a size too small, and he looks dynamite in it? By the way, I'll say that. I love you, Kyle. He just looks dynamite in it. Do you think they're tailored a little bit?
Maybe a little bit. I'm just surprised they find pants that fit him.
His legs are that big.
Yes. Have you seen him?
Dude. True.
I have huge legs, and his are bigger than mine. I have ginormous tree trunks. And
would you say he's the strongest guy in that Braves organization?
Yeah.
Really?
Not pound for pound, but yeah. I mean, he does some freakish things in that weight room.
Oh God. Did you know him in high school? Like, were you guys boys in high school? No, you didn't? Oh, you didn't know each other?
Didn't know him until we got drafted. He was the first person I met whenever I got drafted.
He was like the prodigy in high school. I don't know if you remember. Like, he was the Gatorade Player of the Year.
Gatorade Player of the Year. Oh yeah. He was it at Jesuit. Yeah, he was the guy.
And he's honestly
he still is the guy. Yeah.
And he is the guy. He's the dog. And people listening to this now who aren't too familiar with Kyle, he can also swing it. So like, for people thinking like he's gonna be an automatic out when he gets to the plate, the guy can swing it, dude.
He can hit. His BP is a big league BP. I'll put it that way.
Really?
Nukes off the scoreboard all the
Holy
time. Yeah.
shit.
I'm telling. This is impressive.
Wow.
And I hate telling him that. I want to say he hit a home run off of Chris. I don't know if you've heard that story.
No, tell the story because we're going to have to get some more of
this. Sorry, Chris and Kyle. Okay, so I think Chris is pitching. This is like during quarantine, and Kyle gets up there, and Chris tries to throw 95 past him, and Kyle pimps a bomb and hits it off the parking lot in left field. Yeah.
I need to see this video. I pray to God there's some
I don't
sort
think
of
there is video. I think that's the problem, is that there's no video. There's just Kyle has got Chris and nobody can see it.
Wow. That video I would literally pay any amount of money for that video. That would be incredible.
Same. It would blow up the internet. And also, I think Chris's comeback will be, well, I punched him out the next time. So no, he still got you, Chris. He still got you.
That's insane. That's like, you want to talk about dominating someone is just by saying I had a nuke off you, no matter how many strikeouts. And Chris is a really good pitcher also. I think Chris is going to do really well this year.
Yes.
He's unreal. But it's just like getting luck, and obviously Kyle probably just put the right swing on at the right time. And like I'm like, it's insane to even think Kyle running around the bases just probably gallivanting to Chris like I just put you in my back pocket. That's electric.
Right. He's probably smiling ear to ear, just a big old smile.
That's insane. So a couple more things here. Obviously, going into spring training this year, and obviously you pitched yesterday. You pitched really well. I think you won an inning. You gave up a double, correct? But you got a strikeout and a ground, and Wander Franco, the best prospect in baseball, grounded out against you. Whatever, is that good? Put that on your resume. But yeah, just like what's kind of the mindset you have right now, going into every appearance you get? Because I don't know if you're going to be starting that much in the spring training. You're going to be coming out of the pen. Are you just going like I'm going to let the shit eat for an inning because I'm only going to be in there for an inning, 2 innings?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to showcase my stuff. Just kind of, hey, this is everything I worked on in the off season. Kind of here's my best fastball. Here's the best off speed I got, and just learning to, okay, we need to work on getting the curveball first strike, or slider's been really good back foot, but we can't throw first strike, and kind of going based off of outings and just being aggressive. And you don't really have scouting reports right now. You're not really locked in because you don't know who you're facing until you get up there, because substitutions are just all over the place. So you just have to read swings, and that's a good time to actually find out like what you can do of kind of, hey, he just pulled their fastball down the line. He's way early. Start throwing some soft stuff, slow him down, and then you can speed him back up. Or yesterday, my big thing was I wanted to throw fastballs up and then breaking stuff down. So that was the whole focus of like every fastball I wanted it at the catcher's mask or a little bit above. Then I wanted to throw sliders down at the bottom of the zone. So it was just kind of, you take like what you wanted to work on and what you do best and just implement it into the game.
Would you kind of say that that's what makes spring training a little bit harder to kind of judge guys based on talent, based off the fact that you don't really have scouting reports? Like, you don't know if a guy likes high fastballs. You don't know if a guy likes low sliders. Like, do you think that's what makes spring training kind of hard for some dudes that don't know what they're getting going into an appearance or when they're stepping up to the plate?
I think sometimes, yeah, but at the times you have to go to your strengths. I mean, yeah, Mike Trout can hit a fastball down, but if that's your strength, are you just not going to throw fastballs down? No, you're going to throw it there, and you're going to make him hit it. And if he hits it, he hits it. You got to tip your cap to it. And I think with like when I'm facing Wander, I knew he was going to want to hit a fastball. Didn't mean I didn't throw it to him. You just have to execute, and you have to. If you make the mistake and he hits it, that's baseball. You just have to go about it. And I think at the end of the day, you go with what you do best, and that's how you become that dominant pitcher. Because even during the season, you're facing the Mets 4 or 5 times in 2 months, so they know what you're coming at. They know you're going to pitch in fastballs in, you're going to throw changeups off of it. If you get them set up right, you're going to throw curveballs 0-2, and they know that. And it's just all about execution and whether or not you can do it or not.
What's that aura like, or just like the environment like right now in that Braves locker room, or just at the spring training? Is it kind of like a screw you mentality? Like we like blew a 3-1 lead last year and we got some unfinished business, or is everyone like just fired up and ready to get like to show all these people ranking them third place like you guys are clowns? Like, what's going on there? What's the kind of the thought process in that?
I think we definitely have a little chip on our shoulder. Just kind of, we blew a 3-1 lead. We wanted to go to the World Series. That was our goal in the last year, and I think that's the goal hasn't changed this year. That's our plan. But we got to win the division. We have a tough schedule with our division this year. And it's just more of, we got to be ready to go 162 games. We can't take nights off against these teams anymore. There's not that bad Miami team anymore. They're a good young team, and they're going to put up competitive innings against us, competitive at bats. And we have to be ready. And we lost a couple guys out of the bullpen, so it's now time for young guys to step up. And our rotation, we need to hold strong. We can't really battle like we did last year, just leaning on our bullpen. That's not going to last for 162 games. So we're going to need everybody locked in and ready to go.
And what would you say is your, like, we'll end it off with this. What would you say is like your goals, like, for this year? Do you have set goals on like ERA, stuff like that? Or are you just like, what do you have, for instance? Like, what's your thought process going into this season, goals wise?
I definitely want to be in the big leagues. Like, that's big leagues for the whole year would be definitely the goal. And I think more of just becoming more comfortable at the big league level, learning how to adjust, getting sent up and down, kind of those things. Because those are realistic things. If you pitch bad, you're going to get sent down if you can. And I think kind of being able to handle that, being able to handle the pressure of like when Bryce Harper, and you have to get him out when it's the 7th inning and you've got 2 outs with the runner on 2nd and 3rd, and that's your job. When you're coming in to throw 3 sliders, you need to execute and just kind of be able, how do you handle the moment? How do you handle bouncing back after pitching back-to-back days if you're out of the bullpen? Or if you had a bad start, how do you handle that? You've done it before in the past, but you're now in the big leagues. How do you handle that? How do you go about your business? I think that's just more of just challenging myself throughout the whole year of just like staying locked in and just continuing to get better and not like digress or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good goals, man. And like I said, obviously, if you look at your minor league stats, you definitely have the ability to just kind of just carve, like, just plain and simple. Like I said, pumping your tires, you have the ability to be successful at every single level. So Braves fans, if you're listening to this shit, Braves fans, and you don't become a Tucker Davidson guy after this episode, you're a clown. Like I said, man, you're an electric dude. I've been grinding to get you on. I'm happy I finally got you on, dude. I'm going to be following you. I'm fired up to see what you do this year. And best of luck, man. Thank you for hopping on this podcast, brother. It was big time. You're electric.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you, brother.